35 years of design is making us look the same. If you look before that, you could identify who's a Bihari, who's a Rajasthani, who's a Punjabi, who's a South Indian, we're producing designers for the Western world supply system. I could say the word button, wahi jo piyaman bhai, hai mere button ke logon. So Button Masala suddenly stuck, and in 2 minutes I decided, okay, Button Masala. So I don't think the choices will make them smarter. What really needs to happen is for them to have a discussion about clothing. What is clothing? What kind of clothes are we wearing? What should we be wearing? What could have been worn? What was worn 50 years back in India?
Hello and welcome to AtACrossRoads, a series where we spotlight fascinating individuals who choose to live out of the box and create a life full of innovation and self-satisfaction. Today's episode is very close to my heart, as I'm going to be chatting with a childhood friend who's now a big name in the fashion industry and the creator of a unique sustainable fashion technique called Button Masala. Anuj and I recently met after almost 20 years, and while reliving good old days, he created 3 stunning looks for me with the scarf that I was wearing using the Button Masala technique. Let's chat with him more about this unconventional fashion method where he broke the old age tradition of thread and needle. Hi Anuj.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on our show.
It's my pleasure to sit down. I don't think we imagined this will ever happen. When I was trying to get into NID many years back, and that's when I met you. But I don't think we would have imagined that one day you'll be sitting on one chair and I'll be on the other side talking about fashion as if we are the pundits of it. But
so I mean, back then we were carefree, happy-go-lucky. At least, I mean, I had no clue where I was heading. And I didn't know that you are going to be like this big name in fashion.
No, not just big. I mean, big is just a temporary word. It's just what you really want to do. That's why I'm here. Thanks so much.
So, but tell me about all these years that we've not been in touch. So, what have I missed? Like, how did you enter this industry?
I mean, you know that I was trying to get into an ID at that point of time, and I was in Delhi to figure out what is design, and absolutely, I mean, I got through into an ID after like many efforts. I wasn't the brightest of the kid then, so I got into an ID and then realized that okay, this is tough, man, stitching, ye wo. And I wasn't a very sincere child also, that okay, if you're given a task, do it. I would do the task, but my own way. And being from Rajasthan, I was also a person who would be, who be saving material and time and energy in all possible ways. So put together, I became a person who was very different from what a fashion industry expects. So I had no interest in fashion. I didn't want to stitch and get into the system of having tailors and pattern cutters and all. So I just went on a different journey after I finished an ID, and then that's how slowly at some point of time I got into fashion because got back into fashion because I got a chance to do a show in Japan, and I was invited to do a very luxurious travel to Japan, but I had to present a collection.
Okay.
Now I didn't have money to make a collection nor the interest to do it. So I said, but I had all the interest to go to Japan. So I had to do something. And that's when I think I work really well, when I have to do something and I make it happen. So I went to a second-hand market and I made a collection of garments with second-hand shirts in about 700 rupees. And that is the collection that I took to Japan. And once I came back from Japan, there was a Fashion Week poster in my college where I was teaching at that point of time also at NID Ahmedabad. So I saw something that said apply for Gen Next, because Gen Next had just started then. So I applied and I got through, and that's how my journey of fashion started.
But then what about Button Masala? Like, how did you, I believe it started 13 years ago, and you did take a break from mainstream fashion. How did you think of Button Masala? And I'm very curious to know about the name Button Masala.
So no, I didn't, I mean, the character remained the same. Me as Anuj Sharma remained the same ever since. I never Nothing changed me. I just learned a lot more things on the way at NID, people, culture. Coming out from Jodhpur, I learned a lot. But me wanting to not spend energy and time on something unnecessary or doing things my own way and not bothering about what is the prevalent way was always there. So even in my style of living was like that. So once I started doing Lakme Fashion Week and people liked it, I wouldn't say I was a great hit at the beginning, but people understood that, oh wow, there's a second-hand collection of 700 rupees on the ramp. Wow, guts. My second collection was also another system. So I kept on creating new systems of making garments rather than making a garment. I end up doing all these collections one after another. I was getting good at it, I was doing well. And then suddenly I did this collection called Button Masala. I basically saw a man who buttoned his shirt wrong. Like if you button a shirt wrong, lose one buttonhole, then you end up creating a loop, which is a mistake. So I thought, what if there are many buttons and many buttonholes? You'll make many mistakes, and many mistakes will become a pattern. Like if one person is shouting in the building, it's a mistake, it's a problem. But if the whole building is shouting, then it's a festival. So I created a piece of fabric with buttons on it and buttonholes on separate straps. So combination of button and buttonholes made a collection of million possibilities. It's a Lego of garment making. And that's how I came up with Button Masala. And the name obviously came because of the pun culture. At NID we always had pun culture. So anything we said, we would always say 5 things with it of the same sounding. So when it said Button Masala, the mutton curry, mutton this, I'm a vegetarian though. But I could say the word button wahi jo piya man bhai hai mere button ke logon. But that was too long a name. So Button Masala suddenly stuck, and in 2 minutes I decided, okay, Button Masala.
Tell us in detail about Button Masala. How does the technique work?
So Button Masala is now, the existing Button Masala is a technique where you have a piece of fabric where you can attach anything round into it or tie anything inside it with the help of a rubber band. And that becomes a pod which allows you to connect to another pod. So you can have any combination of garment. You can remove the buttons or remove the thing that you've tied inside the fabric as buttons. So it's one size fits everyone. No cutting of the fabric, no stitching, no machine, no tools, and anybody can learn it. So the advantage of it is it's a very democratic system rather than having a system which says only a designer can do it and not you.
Yeah, and the creations are really stunning. I mean, I am wearing one of them. So yeah, it's really beautiful.
And it shines nicely.
Yeah. So Anuj, tell me, you travel overseas quite a lot, and sustainable fashion has been spoken about quite a lot globally as well as in India. Do you see any difference in the consumer, buying patterns? Are people looking for ethical garments? Do you see that shift in the mindset?
I mean, there are two things in it. The Western world is more inclined toward ethical now, but they've gone through a cycle of maybe 200 years of over-consuming and now have reached this thing. India as a country was a very ethical, a very sustainable country till the end of till the beginning of the fashion era, and maybe till 80s, 70s we were pretty much okay with what we were consuming. We were eating healthy food, we were buying from local market, we were buying. Suddenly when the industrialization came to us, or industrial behavior or mindset of Western world came to us, we suddenly became, buying randomly, buying things unethical, or everything that is connected to it. But at the same time, it's unfair to say that India is unsustainable. India has been sustainable in villages. We're only looking at fashion in the cities and the influence of it in the B-grade cities or the next level cities. We are influencing very fast, I must say that. But it is not an alarming number. We can still go back to the ethical ways. Yeah. And rather than going into fashion, if you look at it from food, we should look at fashion for sure. It's the second most polluting system. But if we go into food and realize how we're going back to eating healthy food or trying to eat and buy vegetables from a local welder again and a local farmer, we will realize that it's the same system that we have to follow. So the inspiration can come from other things rather than fashion, but fashion has to do it.
I have seen celebrities openly talking about the fact that they're repeating their garments. Now that trend is there that you shouldn't buy a new outfit for every new occasion that you go for. And that is a very interesting trend, I feel.
I mean, if I was an actor or actress, I would wear same thing for 10 times. Because I have the clout, and there are very few intelligent ones who are there, and now I'm glad that the society has become where even the actors and actors saying balls to the system, we're doing it. So there are young bunch of people who can do it, and there are younger and smarter bunch of people who could do it and have still fallen for the tactics of the system, because we keep getting in this thing that, oh, this woman is going to this party, send us the dress over, we'll send you back. But you're still transporting a dress from here to there. It's coming back by a courier. The amount of energy you're spending in getting the dress also from somebody just to look different, just to look fancy, it's an utter waste of energy. So it's happening, but it's still far away from that system.
I have a 9-year-old daughter, and I'm seeing kids that age these days are already very fashion conscious. They know what looks good on them. I mean, when I tell my daughter that, this is the party, wear this, she knows exactly what she wants to wear. And it's the same thing I'm seeing with boys as well, So what do you think, this age group, what do we expect from them when they are teenagers? What kind of fashion trend do you think will we see at that point of time?
So the way it's going, it's very difficult to predict. It's just everybody is just wearing whatever is. Eventually, you're going to wear what is available in the market. Now, if the market opens up, you'll have variety. So, but at the same time, people are not as scared, or the kids are not scared of the parents, or they have the freedom. The parents have given the freedom to kids to choose their clothes. But in our times, we used to go to a tailor and get a fabric and get it stitched, and the tailor would partially decide for us. Mother will partially decide for us. We'll probably get a pocket to choose, or maybe a collar style.
Absolutely.
But it has changed now. You have everything ready. You go out in the market. You have thousands of things. So I don't think the choices will make them smarter.
Yeah.
Choices only makes you dumber. It not always makes you smarter. It's only when you don't have the choices. So market is opened up, there are lots of choices. So I don't see them becoming smarter and wiser in that sense. They have the freedom to choose. That's great about that. But what really needs to happen is for them to have a discussion about clothing. What is clothing? What kind of clothes are we wearing? What should we be wearing? What could have been worn? What were worn? Like what was worn 50 years back in India? They have no idea. The grandfather is wearing a dhoti. These are the last generation of people who will see the grandparents wearing dhoti, if they at all, or any of their father or mother wearing a dhoti or a sari, because occasionally we get to see them. So this is the last time when they can have conversations with actually people who wore it for a regular purpose and understand the value of Indian clothing, how it was.
Right.
So even if people, they should be able to wear what they want to wear. But logically, it will be nicer for these kids to understand what logically should be worn and why it should be worn, why was anything that was worn before was worn, and what is the essence of Indian fabrics and clothing in the context of weather and condition that we live in. Right. In a cold country, you wear fitted clothes. That's how the fitted cloth comes to them. In hot country, you wear loose clothes so that you have air ventilation. That's why there were drapes in all the hot countries. It's not we chose to wear drapes just because we were intelligent enough to wear drapes, or we're stupid to wear drapes. It is what every hot country would wear. Ideally, India is still hot and getting hotter only. So we should be wearing clothes which are loose and happy and easy and flowy. So having that understanding and then choosing what they want to do is up to them.
Yeah.
Yes. But now you don't even see the drapes available. You don't even have the skills left in the kids. So kids should be given those skills, choices and variety of Indian wear and Western wear. And now they can pick. But once they understand the logic of it, they will automatically shift to wearing more fun and easy clothes.
Right.
What it really needs is easy clothes. So I don't know what the future of fashion will be with these kids, because it's very But
But I think you are doing some workshops with kids as well as
Yeah.
adults on the button masala techniques.
that's why I like to teach kids, because if they get used to the idea of changing, like when I do workshop with kids and they're making clothes, they're very excited. They don't care what it look like, what it should look like. But once you grow up, you start getting conscious of what you should wear, what it should cover, what it shouldn't. So kids at that age should be exposed to the idea of drapes and should be exposed to different kinds of clothing, and with a reasoning. So so I do a lot of workshops, and I mean I've taught close to 50,000 people in last 12 years. Ever since I stopped doing Fashion Week, I stopped being in the mainstream because I wanted the mindset of the people to change and not the clothing only. So in last 12, 13 years, I've traveled and taught like 50,000 people, 20 countries, many colleges across country. And I think education is the key to this. You know, clothing should bring you identity. We're not bringing any identity. If you go out in the streets, you will see thousands of people wearing the same clothes, and millions. So if 35 years of design is making us look the same, where is the design? Idea of design is to make people have variety and look different.
That's true.
But designers only created the similarity in last 35 years. If you look before that, you could identify who's a Bihari, who's a Rajasthani, who's a Punjabi, who's a South Indian, who is. So now that's also gone.
That's absolutely gone.
You
yeah.
can't even say that which part of the world are you, where I am from.
Absolutely.
So the identity is gone. We look the same. The designs are not happening. We're producing designers for the Western world supply system. We're not producing, and the same people then eventually end up being in India and producing for India and designing for India.
So it's very unusual for a fashion designer to teach his or her technique to people. You know, do these workshops and give out your trade secret. Don't you feel insecure that someone somewhere is going to copy? I mean, why would people buy it from you if they can make it themselves?
All of us know how to cook. Most of us in India. We still go out and eat a dal that we can make at home. Why do we go out? Sometimes we're lazy. Sometimes we really want some different taste. So even though you can make a very good dal, you would like a change. So even if everybody would be able to make button masala, we would still be selling. And thousands and millions, doesn't matter. 1 second, I was anyways not ever bothered about selling it at that number or wanting to sell at this point of time. We're talking about sustainability. It would be stupid to call it a sustainable system and produce millions again and put it out in the market and say, hey, this is a sustainable garment. Here I've already made millions and I know you don't need any more garments, but just in case buy mine so I can get richer. Yeah, we all know we don't need any more garments. So the best thing to do was to teach. I always meant it to spread this way. So it is only helping me spread. I wasn't the one who made rubber bands. I'm not the one who made fabrics. I'm not the one who came up with buttons. I'm not the one who learned how to tie something around something. Almost everything that I'm using is borrowed as a system. Millions of people created fabrics. Nobody's credited them. And then suddenly I wake up and say, anybody tying any fabric around, button around fabric or anything around the fabric is my design, nobody can do it. If you really want to see the scale of what it can become, teach it.
Okay, now a fun question for you. If you were to design a button masala outfit for a celebrity, who would that be and why?
If I had to design, I would rather do it for somebody from the sports. It could be cricket, it could be badminton, or sports is what I would love to. I mean, I think I would enjoy in the process being around with them.
But who would that one sports personality be?
I grew up looking at many people, but maybe Sachin from the past, or maybe Virat Kohli or Yuvraj, or
And what do you imagine design?
No, I don't know.
Is there any? Do you think like a?
No, I'm not a guy in imagination. I'd never go with an imagination anywhere. I would meet, say hello, and then decide. I can do what I do because I'm not a thinker, neither past nor future. I can spend time in this moment. I can decide from here what to say or do. I can get up and run away right now also. But if a bomb blast happens, I will run away. But there's no point thinking what would you necessarily do at any point of time in future. So no, I don't know what I'll design, but something that is comfortable for them, of course. But I think that they will love the idea of button masala where you can change the garment. Maybe a dhoti, which is a pant and a dhoti, and or something that can also become a sportswear maybe.
So clothes have a lot of stories. I have a lot of garments where which are attached to certain memories. What are your stories around clothes? Anything that you remember?
No, I mean I can never fall in love with one particular garment, and I've done so many that there's many stories and interesting stories of people saying that we bought this long time back, we wanted to change it, so we've changed it. Or we had gone to a birthday party and somebody was wearing a dress that was loose, so we did button masala on the person. Or my father made a garment. Or I mean sometimes I see the reels, everybody tying rubber bands around like bangles, and it has 10 million views. It's button masala that has gone and spread around. A friend sends me a message saying, "Oh, I saw somebody wearing, or somebody who's done button masala, and I saw it in Prague in a tram or in a train and a metro." So I keep spotting button masala across the country, world now, because it's also online. So all kinds of, a Japanese kid send me a picture of what he has done. People in Europe doing some stuff and sending. So it's a technique that is now spreading a lot.
Yes.
So you really can't pinpoint one. It's very difficult for me. And I'm also not that kind of a person who says fall in love with one. It's
Across.
everyone.
What advice would you give to the budding fashion designers of India?
Everybody has to understand that life isn't that short. Like we've looked at, because of the media, we've seen so many people becoming star at such early age. Nobody looks and follows up where did the star go in next few years. We just know that somebody is constantly becoming a star at 17, 16, 15. Some kid is already having 500,000 followers on Instagram. We're only looking at that. Of course, there are people who are talented, there's an age group. But most people can peak at a later age stage, like 40, 45, 50. Now, if you've already thought that your life is only just 60 years, then you're going to have a midlife crisis at 30. No, it's obvious. So if you think that you're going to live 120, you're anyways assuming. You're assuming 60 also, you're assuming 120. But anyways, you're assuming. So why not assume 120? So I believe in the concept of assuming a longer life and then pacing it nicely and slowly. And from all point of view, it makes sense to chill early in the age,
and maybe follow your calling at that point of time.
At that point of time, travel, see the world, meet people, have time, chill. Don't get into this that by 21 I have to finish this, by 23 I have to do this, and then by 50 or 60 I have to die.
What do we expect from you next, Anuj? But is there another new technique coming up?
When it has to happen, it'll happen. I mean, there's no hurry. I've never been in a hurry. The idea is to spread button masala as a technique so that people have more faith in their own creativity rather than somebody else's. Creating that set of mindset in the people where they do not rely on a designer for design and trust their own instincts to be making what they want to make and provide them tools with it. So it's going to happen. It's happening anyways by teaching parallelly. But as a business, it will grow over a little further down the line, not so early. I don't want to spread the business at this point of time. I still want to travel and get exposed. I'm still in the learning mode because my 30 is the childhood, my 60 is youth. So I'm in youth, and I don't think a youth should reveal the plan or have plans actually.
Thanks a lot, Anuj, and look forward to many more designs from you.
I will constantly keep churning just for you and everybody. But you'll have to make one.
Of course, I would love to. I would love to make one for my daughter.
Awesome.
And I'm hoping that we do
the
a
whole
workshop
idea.
for them, maybe for their school at some point.
Awesome. I'll be happy to do that. That's the whole idea.